Hello, Ramley and other NFL family. Peo time here, and I'm going to do a watch and react and summarize of Sean McVay's latest press conference. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you comment within the first, let's say 2 hours of this video, I will give an audio reply to every comment. And so I look forward to hearing your thoughts about Rams players, personnel. In this video, I am going to do a brief summary of the coaching staff, but in general, I'm going to focus more on specific player updates like Stafford, Adams, Tyler Higbee, the Rams secondary. Kind of focus more on that. But I encourage you to go watch this full press conference after you're done with this video. It was a good one. And as always, feel free to like and subscribe and hype, because that's a thing now on YouTube. Helps me out and to keep making you Rams content. But I will just start by saying he gave a lot of insight into the Rams coaching staff. We know we've seen a lot of news about that. Obviously, Brian Allen, Robert Woods going from player, to coaching. There's some excitement about that I was happy to hear Sean McVay talk about. He talked about how the team did decide to move on from Coach Aubrey Pleasant. And he also talked about Cliff Kingsbury's role, that he, as the assistant head coach, he talked about how he will definitely continue to play call, even though he kind of made some jokes about that. But in general, he gave some insights that you'd expect about the coaching decisions for the Los Angeles Rams next season. But I'm going to focus mainly on the player updates. And the first one being, you know him, you love him, quarterback Matthew Stafford. When asked about Matthew Stafford's return, Sean McVay had this to say.
Matthew announced that he would be coming back for another season. Will he play on the second year of this contract he signed, or will you guys adjust that again?
Yeah, we're working. We've had great dialogue. I think the good thing is that communication that exists, feel confident about being able to work those things out, Sarah. We were obviously really fired up, had a sense that was the direction it was going to go, but that's always as important as anything, is having a guy like him excited and motivated to continue to play at a good clip. I think we learned some things about how we can manage the offseason and training camp as good as possible to keep him as fresh mentally, physically, and emotionally. And, we'll work through all of those things, but feel good about the direction that we're headed as it relates to, Matthew being in good shape for us.
That's music to Rams fans' ears, meaning that, hopefully it won't be too dramatic. And, I think it's okay to acknowledge that any NFL team nowadays has to manage their quarterback contract regardless of what year they're in, right? If they're in the final year of their deal, if they're on a rookie contract, in today's NFL, it takes up such a large chunk of your salary cap. You always have to be planning not just for this year but future years. And it will be interesting to see what the Rams and Stafford come to agree to, just in regards to his contract and his salary, just given the landscape of the quarterback position in the NFL and the importance of it. Moving on to Davante Adams. Yes, Coach Sean McVay was asked about Davante Adams, he signed a 2-year deal with the Rams last year. He's obviously played really well for the Rams. And now this year, is he going to play on the final year of his deal?
Hey, Sean, similar to Sarah's question, Davante's entering the last year of his deal. Have there been any talks with him about maybe some kind of restructure or extension?
Haven't talked about anything like that. Feel good about, where we're at there. I think the main focus and concentration for us has been on free agency. Guys that are truly free agents for us. What are the upcoming plans? Because, next Monday will be here before we know it. So making sure that you get all your contingency plans in place, in addition to the draft and different ways to onboard people, but expect him to be ready to roll, expect him to even be better in year 2. And that's kind of where we're at with that.
So again, that was pretty short and sweet and to the point. And I have 2 trains of thoughts. One is Davante Adams is totally content playing on the final year of his contract, and everything's hunky dory. The other train of thought could be they're in discussions with Davante Adams of what the end of his career might look like. Does he want to retire a Ram? Is he looking for some sort of extension? Is that possible? Is that in play? Or I guess, come to think of it, Is there room for an extension to make more cap space for this season if the Rams are going to try and do this all-in approach? I kind of feel like McVay's keeping his cards pretty close to the chest there, but I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Moving on to Jimmy Garoppolo. Funny enough, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the most talked about Los Angeles Rams right now. I know there's been some rumors that Mike LaFleur would love to have him in Arizona. And this was actually kind of one of the funniest parts of this press conference here when Sean McVay was asked about that. And I think I'm on team keep Jimmy Garoppolo as the Los Angeles Rams backup quarterback. I think he likes being the backup quarterback for Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. I would let me know if you think Jimmy Garoppolo really wants to be a starting quarterback and maybe he has that opportunity in Arizona. Do you think he would take it? I think it would take a lot. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be back as the Los Angeles Rams backup quarterback. But this is what Sean McVay had to say when he was asked about it.
Mike would like to have him in Arizona. Where are you guys with Jimmy, and do you want him back, and how do you see that playing out?
Absolutely. I love Jimmy. Would absolutely want him back.
Of course.
I did see those reports too, Gary, on Mike trying to steal our guy. But no, Jimmy's a really good player. And so we would love him back. I'm sure he'll have multiple opportunities. And and then we'll just kind of see where we're at. But he's been tremendous for the last couple of years. We've loved everything he's about. You guys know how I feel about him when we've spoken about him, and we would love him back. But I'm also not naive to the fact that he'll probably have a lot of opportunities. And if those are things that he wants to pursue that give him a chance to play, I would understand that.
No, nothing against Jimmy Garoppolo at all. Let me just say that. I think that just at Jimmy's point in his career, that I don't see him getting an opportunity to be a starting quarterback. Maybe I'm wrong, right? And feel free to disagree with me in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinion. But outside of Arizona, I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo getting a starting quarterback opportunity. Like, does Minnesota want him to compete with JJ McCarthy if they can't get, a Malik Willis or someone else that they're trying to get, right? So I think Jimmy Garoppolo will be back as the Los Angeles Rams quarterback. He is a free agent though, and so he's allowed to go wherever he wants. And I guess that's something that Jimmy Garoppolo needs to decide for himself. Where is he at in his career? Does he want one last shot to be a starting NFL quarterback, or is he content being a backup quarterback and which is a different role, which one that I think he's done quite well the past 2 seasons. Okay, let's get into the Rams secondary. This is one of the most talked about topics for the entire offseason for the Los Angeles Rams. I know Rams fans on my channel and other channels and Reddit and the whole internet is talking about what are the Rams going to do with their secondary. And let's face it, it's probably the most criticized part of the Rams team right now. Maybe special teams, but special teams and secondary, right? And the Rams have a lot of free agents that are in their cornerback room. Let's see what Sean McVay had to say when he asked about that.
Several cornerbacks, pending free agents: Kobe Durant, Roger McCreary, and Darius Williams, I think, in the final year of his deal. What's happening with the secondary?
Yeah, we're working through that. There's a lot of layers to that. You mentioned, especially at the corner spot.
For the record, I'm just going to say, I think there's a situation where none of those guys are back. Maybe Roger McCreary. I don't know if Darius Williams or Kobe Durant are going to be with the Los Angeles Rams next season.
Kamren Curl's a big free agent for us that we love him. So
Kamren Curl, right, as a safety for the Rams. They signed him a couple of years ago. Are they going to bring him back?
When you really look at it, those are things that, are going to be important for us to be able to address, whether that's re-signing our own or being able to find the different avenues. And there's a couple different ones, whether you're talking about draft, trade, or free agency. And so being able to kind of, based on when those things occur and being able to kind of prioritize and then be able to attack has been, a good, a good challenge for us to figure out how to put together the most competitive roster. But that's a spot that has deserved a lot of attention because of the contract situations and the different ways that we might lose guys, bring them back, or on board through the other avenues that I mentioned.
And
that to me seems like he's deflecting a little bit there. Maybe I'm reading his body language wrong there. That didn't seem quite committal to any of them. So I do think that the Rams cornerback room is going to look dramatically different next season, whether that's through drafting, free agency, trading, right? I would be very surprised if the Rams brought back all three of the cornerbacks mentioned there. I think Cam Curl might come back. I think it's interesting because he wasn't actually asked about Cam Curl, but he brought him up, right? He brought up Cam Curl almost to deflect away from talking about Kobe Durant, talking about Darius Williams or Roger McCreary. So anyway, maybe I'm reading into that a little too much, but would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. We're also going to talk about briefly Tyler Higbee's future with the team. I know he's an older player contemplating retirement. Sean McVay was asked about him and said this.
Talked with you. You said you were going to give Tyler some time to think about his future. Has he made a decision on if he's going to play again in 2026?
Yeah, I think, giving him his time, being able to let him decide. But obviously, if that's something that he wants to do, then we would be very interested in, continuing that relationship with him.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Hey, Sean.
Okay, that's short and sweet and to the point. So if Tyler Higbee wants to continue to play, he'll be a Ram. I think that's simple enough to address that there. And the one other thing I want to talk about and react to in this press conference is the backup quarterback position. He gets asked about if the Rams are to draft Matthew Stafford's successor, right? Preparing for his retirement. Let's listen in here, and then we're going to react together here. So let me know in the comments below.
Lastly, you guys have been in win now mode for as long as I can remember, but you also do a really good job of preparing for the future, kind of on the fly. And there's going to come a time where Matthew Stafford, calls it a career, and you guys have to be prepared for that. At what point, and I'm sure it's now, but do you start thinking about that procession plan and maybe having somebody in place that you can eventually hand the reins to?
Yeah, I think
To summarize that question, are you going to draft a quarterback this year?
think about those things. You talk, number one with Matthew on what he's feeling and what you project as. How much longer is he going to be able to do it? How much longer really not is he going to be able to, but how much longer does he want to do it? So you're always thinking about those things, but also not losing sight of taking advantage of how precious it is to be able to have somebody of his caliber. And I know I'm not naive to how rare that is. And so all those things weigh into it, Vinny. But God forbid, I think he said it a lot. I think, with the time Matthew missed last year, it was such a cool reflection of his humility and just what a great aware person Matthew is. It was tremendously valuable to have Jim.
So just FYI, he's going on a Matthew Stafford glaze a little bit here, and then now he transitions to glazing Jimmy Garoppolo. Doesn't actually address the question yet.
Jimmy taking those reps where now our defense that he's going against and the other 10 around him are still able to progress and be able to advance in a way that is reflective of how we want to operate. So you better have somebody you feel really good about that can, whether it's if Matthew is not able to go, can they play?
He's bringing it back. But he's still not addressing the question, I think.
And then looking towards the future, but how we want to be able to approach it. That position is so vital for us to be able to allow Matthew to be at his best. And that's why Jimmy was so important for us the last 2 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coach, we appreciate you.
Sean McVay, everybody. Yes, love it. Always love a good Sean McVay presser. That was a lot of fun watching and reacting to that. I hope you enjoyed this. In general, I think Sean McVay avoided the question, and rightfully so, right? Is he going to, at this point in the offseason, be like, yeah, we're looking to draft a quarterback? No, because that throws off the entire gamesmanship of the draft. You don't want to let your opponent know what are you going to do in the first round or the latter rounds, right? If the Rams aren't looking to draft a quarterback in the first round, wouldn't they want as many quarterbacks taken before them as possible? If they are looking to draft a quarterback in the first round, wouldn't they not want other teams to think they have to leap up in front of the Rams to draft a quarterback? So, no, I have no issue with how Sean McVay handled that. I think it's just funny that he asked a question if, they're going to look for and plan for Matthew Stafford's retirement, turns into him just glazing Stafford and glazing Jimmy Garoppolo, which, again, you want your head coach to do, right? Oh, that's going to do it for me in this video. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you could like and hype, all that good stuff, subscribe. I'm getting ready to move, and so I only have a few shows left in this studio here. But as always, go Rams, horns up, and peace out. Let's go Rams! Woo!